Ivy League admissions is not just a process of admission and selection. It's also very much a process of elimination, and a lot of people don't realize that. They think if their profile is strong, they should get in, but that's not exactly how it works, right? At schools like Harvard, tens of thousands of applicants are already strong enough for a small number of seats. So we're gonna flip the lens in this. In this video, I'm gonna break down the 5 steps for the Ivy League admissions and show you exactly where most students are getting eliminated. Step 1 is the context. So the first thing admissions does is not evaluate their achievements, okay? They're gonna look at your context, your school, your country, your access to resources, your family background. Do you need financial aid? Did your parents attend college, and specifically, did they attend this college, right? Because they cannot think about your achievements in isolation. Why? They're gonna be judged relative to what's available to you. So if you start a club in a well-resourced school, that's not the same thing as building a club somewhere where nothing existed, right? So before your application is even going to be fully read, you're starting to become grouped based on your context, right? Maybe in a region, the type of applicant, and that means the pool on which you're being compared might be slightly different, okay? So what's the takeaway? No, you can't change your context, but it's important for you to understand how that affects where your application is going to be read, and it also helps you understand where you maybe need to build more strengths and more weaknesses. Step 2 is the academic filter. This is not where you win. Let me repeat that. Academics is not really where you win, okay? That sets the baseline context for you. Admissions, yes, is going to look at 4 years of grades, course rigor, the number or position of rank in your school. For competitive applicants, this usually means being at near the top with the hardest courses available, whether it's IP, AP, A levels, right? At places like MIT, many admitted students are scoring 50 plus on the SAT, and students are getting the top 1% to 2% scores globally. If you don't meet this level, your application probably won't be moving forward. You might get them to review the rest of your application, but already you need to compensate with something else because your grades are lower, okay? If you want to check out the real profiles of 3 admitted MIT students, you can check out the link below, okay? More often than not, it's really hard to compensate grades, okay? Lower grades introduce doubt about your credentials, and because there's so many strong students, that doubt is enough to eliminate you, okay? But here's the key. Clearing the bar doesn't necessarily make you competitive. It's just keeping you in the pool, right? Your academics are good, you're in the pool. Now let's move on and evaluate the students who are left after this step, okay? And at some schools like Penn and Cornell, in addition to the grade level, they might also be looking at your academic direction. Not just that you did well, but what you consistently focused on as part of your extracurricular profile, okay? Because if they want to admit you into a specific program, then they need to know where exactly they'll put you in, okay? Takeaway, academics keep you in the process. They don't get you selected, but they definitely can get you eliminated. By the way, academics, if you want to get a deep dive, check out this video on 13 myths, okay? Step 3. Now you're looking at holistic review. And this is where admissions is going to ask a different question. They're not asking, are you strong? The assumption is once you pass the baseline academics, you are strong, okay? Now they want to know, what are you actually doing? So they're looking at your extracurriculars, your essays, your recommendations, and your overall behavior. By the way, if you want to look at the real profile of Harvard admits, I have this video linked, and you will see the exact patterns that they're trying to figure out when admissions is reviewing it. They want to know, where did you spend time? Are your activities surface level? Do you take initiative, or do you actually just participate as a member? Because they're not really looking for effort, right? In fact, they're not looking for effort at all. They're looking for outcome. They're trying to predict your future success in the real world, right? They need to know what you did in the past, because that's the greatest indicator of what you'll do in the future, okay? So a student who shows consistent work and deep dedication, it's easier to accept them because you sort of can predict what you think they're going to do in the future. If they're really doing a lot of unrelated things, you don't know how they're going to behave when they come to school, and you're not even sure what they really care about. And so again, that creates doubt. It's risky. And so admissions is like, okay, let's just choose a student where it's really clear what that student stands for, who they are, what they care about, okay? The takeaway for step 3 is that depth and consistency make it easier to understand you, okay? If they can't understand you, they're not sure whether or not they should admit you, and that doubt is dangerous. By the way, if you want to remove the guesswork, you can check out my courses. I have 40 downloads plus step-by-step video instructions. It really takes out the guesswork. So step 4 is about how clear your application is. Now your application was previously maybe read by one person, it's now going to be read by multiple people, okay? This one thing starts to matter a lot. Is your profile easy to explain, okay? So an admissions officer better be able to summarize you in a few lines. What is the student focused on? What have they done? In what area? What are they likely to do next? And how distinguishable are they, right? If that answer is not clear, then it might be hard to understand who you are, okay? And then how does an admissions officer cheerlead for you, okay? So they're trying to discuss your application, and if I can't explain it to you in a few lines, how do I actually convince somebody to accept you? And this is exactly where strong applicants start to lose, not because they're weak, it's just that I can't understand who they truly are, so I can't advocate for them, okay? The takeaway is, if someone can't clearly describe your profile, it becomes just more difficult to select you. So you want to create a standout brand that can really help you win.
Step 5, evaluate all admits together.
The final stage, so this is where they're building the class. So maybe they've eliminated most people through 1 and 5, and now you have 3,000 strong applicants, but you just have 2,000 seats, okay? So now it's no longer about an individual, right? They're trying to balance all the different people in the class. So they're looking for academic interests, geography, backgrounds. How does A student fit with B student, right? So now you're sort of competing with a narrow group of people who are very similar, right? They want to know, in this academic area or in this region, how many people do I need? In this major, how many people? How does the decision get made? Profile is easier to admit, which doesn't give me doubt, which doesn't sound risky. So that means you have clear direction, consistent profile, easy to understand contribution, right? The easier your profile is to understand, the easier it is to select you. If you feel like you're generic, it's hard to justify why I would take you into my class, okay? Takeaway at the final stage, it's about branding, clarity, positioning. More than anything, why is admitting you going to add more value to my class than some other STEM? So what's the takeaway? Ivy League admissions is not just designed to find the strongest student because everybody's strong, right? So what they need to do is take a huge class and filter it down into a very small one. So at every step of the way, they're removing students who are causing them to be unsure about how those students will behave on their campus, okay? If you can understand the process, you might think differently about how you build your application. It's not only about being impressive, it's also about being clear, consistent, and most importantly, difficult to replace.